Orpheus and Alice. Their story is something that many fans find truly magnificent. Orpheus carries the guilt of the manor raid and tries to escape the reality of the past, while Alice wishes to confront that same past and search for Orpheus once again. After many years, the two finally cross paths again, but with completely different agendas. One wants to rebuild his paradise, while Alice wants to face and accept reality. From this alone, we can see the central theme of their story dynamic. Is it better to forget the past, or to face it? Well guys, realize it or not, this theme has been widely used in many video games, with some of them appearing long before Identity V even existed. In today's video, I want to discuss several games that share a similar narrative dynamic. If you enjoy their story and the themes presented in both Ashes of Memory and Cage of Yesteryear, there is a good chance you will also enjoy the games on this list. One quick disclaimer before we're going in. Some of the game's story might be disturbing, as there are elements of self-harm with it. Also, it may contain major spoilers, so you might want to proceed with caution. Anyway, let us dive in. A tragic past that Orpheus desperately wants to escape is also the central core of the story in the game Omori. The game tells the story of a character named Sunny, a boy who has become a shut-in and has locked himself inside his room for years. During this long period of isolation, he often daydreams and creates his own fictional world called Headspace. In Headspace, he is no longer Sunny, but another figure named Omori, although technically they are still the same person. In this world, Sunny, or rather Omori, lives happily with his friends Kel, Aubrey, Hiro, and Basil. They spend their time together inside Headspace as if nothing has ever gone wrong. However, one day the world of Headspace begins to crack, and the situation gradually becomes worse as time goes on. It is later revealed that in the real world, there used to be another person who spent time with them, Sunny's older sister named Mari. However, Mari was believed to have taken her own life, and since that day Sunny became a shut-in while his group of friends slowly drifted apart. Near the end of the story, the truth is finally revealed. Mari did not take her own life. Sunny accidentally caused her death. Both Sunny and Mari were interested in music, but Sunny eventually became frustrated with it. One day, before a recital, an argument broke out between them. In a moment of anger, Sunny pushed his sister, who then fell down the stairs and died from the fall. Basil, who witnessed the tragedy, suggested that they cover up the incident by making it appear as if Mari had taken her own life. Together, they hung Mari's body from a tree, staging the scene as a suicide. Only Sunny and Basil knew the truth, and that secret continued to haunt them both. The guilt drove Sunny to withdraw from society, eventually dropping out of school and isolating himself completely. In the end, the player can choose whether Sunny continues hiding the truth and running away from his guilt inside the utopia he created, or whether he confronts the truth and accepts responsibility for what happened. This final theme closely resembles the dynamic between Orpheus and Alice. As we know from Identity V, Orpheus chooses to dwell in his guilt and create his own world, while Alice wishes to face the past and finally put an end to her nightmare. Both stories revolve around a similar theme, guilt, and a past that the characters attempt to escape. In Omori, Sunny creates an alter ego named Omori who constantly suppresses Sunny's memories of the truth. Omori misleads Sunny about his real life and keeps him trapped inside the utopian world of Headspace. Similarly, after the manor raid, Orpheus appeared in a form of Nightmare, who wishes for nothing but to rebuild his crumbled paradise. This was done through the manor game and through the medicine he develops. The story of Season 18 and Season 19 explains this idea in more detail, stating that Orpheus wanted to rebuild his own paradise. Both Sunny's creation of Headspace and Orpheus's desire to build a paradise demonstrate how these characters try to avoid reality and continue living inside their own constructed worlds. In a sense, Omori offers a clearer answer to the question of whether it is better to forget the past or face it. This question also becomes the central tension within the story of Orpheus and Alice. Guilt is the central theme in Silent Hill 2. James Sunderland, whose wife died 3 years earlier, suddenly receives a mysterious letter telling him to come to a place called Silent Hill. What makes the situation even more haunting is that the sender of the letter appears to be his wife herself. Silent Hill is a town that is almost always covered in thick fog, and this is exactly what James encounters when he arrives there. While exploring the town, he comes across many monstrous creatures, including a terrifying figure known as Pyramid Head. Monsters are not the only things he encounters. James also meets several people whose mental states appear unstable, including Laura, a young girl who seems to strongly dislike him, and Maria, a woman who closely resembles his late wife, Mary. As the story progresses, it becomes clear that James himself is experiencing a psychological breakdown. Many of the things he encounters in Silent Hill are manifestations of his own guilt over the death of his wife. Maria represents the kind of person James wishes Mary could have been, while Pyramid Head, the terrifying figure that relentlessly pursues him throughout the game, symbolizes his desire for punishment. In many ways, Pyramid Head embodies the part of James that believes he deserves to suffer for what happened to Mary. There is also another major revelation in the story that I will not spoil here. However, even without that detail, the connection between this game from Konami and the story of Orpheus and Alice is already quite clear. James carries immense guilt over the death of his wife, and in Silent Hill he is forced to confront physical manifestations of the turmoil within his mind. In a similar way, Orpheus also carries the guilt of being unable to stop the manor raid. That guilt gradually changes him, pushing him further away from the person he once was. Because of this shared theme of guilt and psychological punishment, players who enjoy the story of Orpheus and Alice will likely find the narrative of Silent Hill 2 particularly compelling. While Orpheus's story mostly centers on guilt, a distorted world, and the way he copes with it through twisted ideals, Alice's story reveals something different. Her journey shows how she slowly comes to terms with the misfortune that happened to her. In a sense, this theme of acceptance can also be seen in a game that I admire greatly, Blank Dream. Blank Dream tells the story of a 16-year-old girl named Michiro Usui who, after believing that her life has nothing worth living for, decides to end her life by jumping into a lake and drowning herself. However, instead of dying, she awakens in a strange realm known as the Mirror World. This place is described as a world that exists between life and death. In many ways, the Mirror World functions like a form of purgatory. Michiro is forced to relive moments from her life again and again, and as the story progresses, she begins to see different perspectives on the tragedies that shaped her life. In the end, the player must decide whether Michiro will finally end her suffering or awaken once more and face life again. From the way I see it, Michiro's story reflects Alice's journey. Both girls experience deep misfortune and live through circumstances that make life seem unbearable. However, in Identity V, Alice does not choose to give up. Instead, she remains resilient and continues living despite everything that happened to her. Michiro, on the other hand, gradually comes to understand that the painful memories she carried may not represent the full truth of her life. By revisiting those moments from different perspectives, she realizes that not every event she once saw as pure suffering was truly without meaning. Even within the pain, there were people who cared about her and wished for her well-being. Both girls move forward without knowing what the future may bring. In Identity V, we know that Alice chooses to continue her journey despite the uncertainty ahead. In Blank Dream, the player is given the same choice for Michiro. Rather than allowing her story to end in despair, the player can choose to give her another chance to live. Although the game contains themes of self-harm, its story ultimately delivers a powerful message about acceptance and perseverance. Because of this, Blank Dream reflects Alice's struggle in a meaningful way. Another game that I would like to recommend for those who enjoy the story dynamic between Orpheus and Alice is To the Moon. This game tells the story of two doctors, Eva Rosalind and Neil Watts, who work for a company called Sigmund Corp. The company possesses a technology that allows them to fulfill the wishes of dying patients by altering their past memories. There is one important limitation, however. The altered memories only exist within the patient's mind. And if the procedure were performed on a healthy person, the conflict between the new memories and their real life could cause serious psychological damage. Due to this risk, the procedure is only legally performed on people who are close to death. In other words, the machine is designed to fulfill a patient's final wish before they pass away. In To the Moon, the two doctors receive a request from an elderly man named Johnny Wiles. Johnny's final wish is to go to the moon, although he himself does not fully understand why he wants this. In order to find the answer, Eva and Neil use their device to enter Johnny's memories and travel backward through the events of his life. As they explore his memories, they discover that the answer lies with Johnny's late wife, River. It is eventually revealed that River first met Johnny during a festival when they were children. Johnny was the only friend she had at the time, and the memory became deeply important to her. She hoped that Johnny would remember her and one day reunite with her at the same festival. Johnny once promised that if they were ever separated, they would meet again on the moon. However, due to a complicated series of unfortunate events, Johnny eventually lost his memories of River. When the two met again later in life, Johnny had no recollection of their childhood meeting. River, despite her efforts, was never able to make him remember that she was the same girl he once met at the festival. The two eventually married and lived together into old age, but River continued to struggle with the fact that Johnny had forgotten their original promise. She passed away without ever succeeding in making him remember. In order to fulfill Johnny's wish, the doctors decide to create an artificial memory in which Johnny never lost those childhood memories. In this altered version of his life, Johnny grows up not meeting River later on, but remembered his promise to meet River on the moon. Inspired by that promise, he joins NASA in order to become an astronaut. In a beautifully crafted narrative, Johnny and River eventually reunite at NASA, as River also remembered Johnny's promise to meet again on the moon. This becomes Johnny's final memory before he peacefully passes away. The similarity I see between this story and the story of Orpheus and Alice lies in the idea of altering memories. In To the Moon, the device allows the doctors to change a patient's memories in order to fulfill their final wish. In Identity 5, Orpheus attempts to achieve something similar through his experiments with a mysterious medicine. According to one interpretation of the story, this medicine may have been intended to make Alice forget the tragedy of the manor raid and replace those memories with something less painful. Because of this shared concept of memory alteration, the two stories carry a similar emotional core. With its beautiful narrative and memorable music, To the Moon is a game that many fans of the story of Orpheus and Alice in Identity 5 would likely appreciate. The last game that I would like to recommend is Finding Paradise, which is a direct sequel to the Moon, but presents a very different perspective on tragedy in life. In To the Moon, we see how Johnny fulfills his wish through altered memories that allow him to reconnect with his past. In Finding Paradise, however, the story explores a different question about whether a life truly needs to be changed in the first place. The story follows Colin Reeds, a retired pilot who appears to have lived a joyful and fulfilling life. In his final moments, he requests the service of Sigmund Corporation to fulfill a wish he has. This request creates tension between him and his wife, Sophia, who believes that their life together has already been perfect as it is. The problem lies in Colin's wish itself. He asks for his life to change as little as possible. This request contradicts the very purpose of Sigmund Corporation, whose job is to alter memories in order to change a person's life. Despite this contradiction, Colin remains firm in his request, and the doctors decide to proceed with the procedure. As Eva Rosalind and Neil Watts travel through Colin's memories, they encounter a mysterious girl named Faye who repeatedly interferes with their work. It is eventually revealed that Faye represents a bird that Colin once helped during his childhood. At that time, Colin lived a lonely life, and the bird became an important companion to him, before Colin eventually needs to let it go. Over time, this bird evolved in his imagination into the figure of Faye. While exploring Colin's memories, Eva and Neil also discovered that his life contained many moments that he once wished had happened differently. His childhood was filled with loneliness. His marriage proposal was awkward and embarrassing, and he eventually had to let go of Faye, the imaginary friend who had comforted him during his early years. Even though Colin later achieved success and happiness in life, many of these earlier moments were things he once regretted deeply. Eventually, the doctors realized that Colin's wish is not about making a major change in his life. Instead, he simply wants to know what his life might have been like if those painful or disappointing moments had happened differently. However, Faye argues that if those events were changed, Colin's own existence would lose its meaning. Through this realization, Eva and Neil begin to understand that Colin never truly needed to alter his memories in the first place. All the hardships and unexpected moments in his life are precisely what shaped the person he became. Because of this, the only change they make is to erase Sigmund Corporation from Colin's memory. Without the knowledge of the company, Colin will never feel the need to alter his life. Instead, he is allowed to rediscover for himself that despite the mistakes, missed opportunities, and painful moments, his life was still meaningful and fulfilling. In the end, after saying goodbye to Faye during his early adulthood, Colin reunites with her once more in his old age. When asked whether he still has regrets about his life, Colin admits that he has many regrets. However, he has come to accept them because those regrets are also the reason his life turned out the way it did. He became a pilot because Faye inspired him to dream of flying. He married a wonderful woman despite the awkwardness of his proposal. And without the influence of Sigmund Corporation in his memories, he no longer wishes to change anything about his life. Colin eventually passes away peacefully, grateful for everything he experienced in life, even the difficult moments that once felt like misfortune. If To the Moon resonates more strongly with Orpheus' story, then Finding Paradise, in my opinion, aligns more closely with Alice's journey. Both stories show that not every misfortune remains a misfortune forever. Sometimes the painful events in our lives are the very things that shape who we become. Alice's tragic past shaped her into the courageous and resilient person she is today. In a similar way, Colin's happiness was built upon many struggles and unexpected events in his life. Because of this shared theme of acceptance and growth, I believe that anyone who enjoys the dynamic between Orpheus and Alice will also find Finding Paradise to be a deeply meaningful story. There are actually many other games that explore themes similar to the story of Orpheus and Alice, such as regret, letting go, guilt, and haunting memories. Perhaps on another occasion, I will talk about more of them with all of you again. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.